show. He's the head of marketing at Mixtape Madness and the manager and founder of AGM Talent. Please welcome Daniel.
Hey bro, what's good, man?
Yeah, good, thank you, bro. What about yourself?
Yeah, I'm not too bad.
So you had some troubles in the Ubers over here. You had a bit of a crash.
It's a long journey, but it's good that I'm here now.
Good to see you, man. So are you from London originally then?
Yeah, born and raised Tottenham, North London.
Tottenham, yeah. Nice, man. Yeah. So is that where you stay now?
That's where I'm still there. I'm still
sick,
there,
man.
Yeah.
Sounds good. So obviously we're here to talk about your career and how you got into it and stuff like that.
Of course.
So with the marketing that you're doing for Mixtape Madness, have you always been involved in marketing, or is that something new that you've started doing just for them?
No. So I think my career in marketing spans probably 7 or 8 years. So how I started out actually, was working within various advertising and marketing agencies. Well, my brother and like family friend Wise and Kings, they started Mixtape Madness. So after I finished uni, I went on to have a proper 9-to-5 job in an advertising agency. But I started to do MM on the side, you know what I mean? Because I think, I thought, let me get into a craft and I'll be able to kind of apply the skills that I learned from the agency into ultimately enhancing Mixtape Madness from a marketing point of view. So yeah, I've worked literally at all of the kind of global leading marketing agencies. I worked across Foot Locker across Europe for 2 years, Nike, done some stuff with Adidas, Samsung, Fiat, Jeep, American Express, BP. I've worked on literally hundreds of brands, like full in kind of, advertising campaigns. And then I started a couple years back, transitioned into kind of freelance marketing consultancy work, working at various agencies, just taking on various campaign projects. Then just recently I kind of packed it in and said, you know what, we've got something great here, you know what I mean? And, I kind of founded an internal marketing agency within Mixtape Madness as well to kind of roll out everything marketing from an artist and music perspective and a brand perspective as well. And I just wanted to build that out, so.
Has that transition been hard from going full time to then into freelance to
not really because for me like music and marketing are both my passion, so honestly even now from record labels to brands hit me up on some we need some consultation, so on a freelance bespoke tip I still do campaigns on and off here and there. It might be like a 2-week project, what I mean, but that's just the love and passion I have with kind of connecting audiences with brands. It's something that I've always been passionate about, and something that I'm doing with Mixtape Madness as well. So we'll delve into that in a bit though.
100%. Yeah. So how when you're working for companies like Nike or whoever these guys are approaching you, how did you kind of network with these guys in the beginning, and so they know about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, I think for me, I never underestimate culture, and I never saw what we were doing as Mixtape Madness or whatever GRM Daily's doing or whatever's happening in the culture. I never saw it as a small thing because I understand the audience from a consumer point of view, and I knew that we dictated culture, and I knew that whatever we were doing is what was popular within the UK. It's just the in thing. So when I was working with a lot of these brands, they have kind of marketing directors and managers who are, I wouldn't say the most in touch, like middle-aged, white kids, white guys or women who had a lot of the budget, and they were representing brands targeting the demographic that I came from. However, we're using kind of outdated tools, you know what I mean? So I think me just being in music, it was easy for me to kind of pitch like, these are the audiences that you need to be targeting. These are the audiences that dictate culture, and really kind of tap into those kind of, decision makers within those kind of corporate brands and secure the bag, secure that budget, and make things move. But I'm still doing that today. Like I'm still like pitching, having meetings, because I work with a lot of artists, and you know, in America, it's second nature. Like, you know, you will see Hennessy and Nas, you'll see Reebok and Meek Mill, you will see or Puma and, you know, Kylie Jenner or Travis. Like,
Yeah.
you know, they understand music and culture and how it translates to audiences. You know what I mean? However, in the UK, it's a bit more primitive in that sense. It might be just because maybe the demographic makeup is a bit different, or just people just don't understand. But in America, it's second nature. So that's what I'm trying to kind of really translate over here. And I've had a few cool campaigns. Like just 2 days ago, we had a campaign with FIFA. It was a Mixtape Madness and FIFA collaboration.
Oh, I think I saw that. Yeah, so KSI was in it as well.
Yeah, oh, he went in it actually. We had Abra performing. We ran the competition element, and literally the winner of the competition won 500k.
Jeez, is that like FIFA?
It was an e-gaming World Cup, so there was like 32
man,
players across Xbox and PS4, and then they meet in the final. But we kind of ran a music competition, and we coordinated a lot of the kind of digital activity to go with that, you know. So that was a big gig. The beginning of the year, I had a campaign with Puma, which was cool as well. You know, we had a lot of guys performing, like AJ and Dino. I had Suspect.
So with for example, like the gaming one, is that more, or even with the Puma one, are they approaching you? And saying,
so
you know, we're doing this,
so it's a multi-angle approach. Sometimes you know, me, I come from an agency background, so a lot of these brands have agencies that represent them. And with Puma, you know, I work with a really cool agency who, you know, they understand culture, you know what I mean? So they always kind of pitch us for kind of cool little campaigns, and, you know, they kind of got me involved on that campaign, and they were like, you know, you'll be the right music partner. So for that, you know, it was just about getting the talent to perform at a launch party for some new football boots.
And it's like, I'm guessing in your position, it's easy enough to
reach
out to the people.
Yeah, and it's easy for me to say, you know what, Puma, I think these are the guys that I identify more with the demo that are going to be attending this event, or even buying these boots, and these guys are going to make the night eventful, you know what I mean? So it was that was actually a sick night. But I've done campaigns for FIFA, like just this year alone, we've done some pretty kind of sick campaigns. But, you know, I have an artist-led approach. You know, it's me sitting down with artists as well, because a lot of artists I might reach out to, but there are artists who are asked, for example, you know, just to provide or to cover their kind of brand management aspect of things. So I kind of pitch them for brand opportunities, and I always have them at top of the list. So it's just easier. And other artists I just try to maintain a decent relationship with. But
so speaking of like artists as well, then, so say if, you know, you're thinking of doing a campaign, where are some of the kind of places you may be looking to find? So say if you're looking for fresh talent, maybe, where are some of the places you're looking to find the artists? Or
I think it always depends on the brief and the kind of objectives of the brand and what they're trying to achieve. Because you know, sometimes we assume it's getting the biggest of talents. Where no, I think there's artists who have influence on a micro level, who are just a right fit for the brand. And I think it's an approach that brands like Adidas have done really well, and Nike has done really well in terms of athletes. You know, just knowing who kind of taps who's kind of moving boundaries, you know, in those respective industries, and that's how I look at it as well. You know, it has nothing to do with numbers or reach. It's more about engagement and people who are culturally in sync with the brief at hand. You know what I mean? 100%. So So with me as well, I think it's a point of negotiation as well. You know, sometimes, you know, I've worked with artists who they would be happy receiving free items just because it's from X, Y, Z. You know, so even just teaching them the art of negotiation, you know, understanding their metrics, their followers, and how this translates in value, is something which I'm really keen on. You know, I've always kind of preached about wealth management when it comes to the management side of things and artists, but it's about knowing your value and knowing what these metrics means, and knowing what people in outside of music with similar reach are earning for social posts or for campaigns or for the use of their image rights on certain commercials, you know. And this is how you need to be behaving, you know what I mean? So it's more of the education piece as well. I don't work with everyone, but I mean the artists that are in my immediate network, these are conversations that I do have.
And are you trying to educate them on the kind of stuff you're talking about? Like,
always like people come hit me up every day, and it's just a point of conversation, you know. I don't profit from it, but because everything I've known since graduating has been advertising and marketing. What did you do? I've done international business. So I've run like campaigns like for like Jordan, you know, celebrating like the 30th anniversary of Michael Jordan. You know, I've done that was sick. I've run campaigns for I'm just saying, like, on an international level, like it's not just domestically. So I understand like the budgets at hand. You know, you got some companies which, you know, have annual marketing budgets of like 30 billion. You know, you got pharmaceutical companies, charities who have annual marketing budgets. You got churches, mosques that have. Well, I don't know about mosques, but just churches and other charitable organizations that have big annual marketing budgets. You know what I mean? Because everyone's got an objective, whether that's to attract people to attend church to worship, or to pay into a charity, or to buy medical drugs, or to buy a trainer. You know what I mean?
100%, man.
It all costs money. You know what I mean? So you need to know. You need to represent yourself as a brand also, and know what your value is for your reach as well. So
100%. Do you think in terms of like marketing in general, like, do you think social media has become probably the biggest platform or the newest platform to take over, or would you say TV ad and all that kind of stuff still plays a big role?
When I actually started marketing, I think Facebook was just rolling out their business manager platform. So the platform that allows you to do ads. It was in uni there was no like social media marketing. It wasn't even taught. It was like old school kind of marketing techniques. But my early days within agencies, then like social media advertising started to become a norm, like in terms of like paid marketing, like paid ads. And then the influencer marketing thing just came out of nowhere, and the influencer marketing agencies started just booming. You know what I mean? So it's definitely part of a marketing mix because it's direct to consumer, innit? So anything direct to consumer is powerful, but you just need to know how you're communicating your marketing message, and there needs to be a synergy between, you know, the advertiser and the end client, you know, the publisher or the artist or whoever, because often there's always a disconnect. So you'll see random campaigns which don't sync up, but that's why you have people like me, you know, from a consultative point of view, working with agencies, working with brands direct, but also working with artists, really bridging that gap. I also do artist campaigns, so with artists that I work closely with, I do marketing campaigns with my wider team to support their single and album releases, which has gone really well this year. I've worked on a few decent projects, but what's happened as well is that I've had referrals from artists who are signed to labels to do campaigns or create strategy for their releases, and I'm seeing an upward trend in this as artists are starting to get signed, but have realized that they haven't really been in control, or they haven't cared about the marketing element when it comes
to the music.
And
you can understand.
So it's something which I've been intrigued in, and just sitting in meetings, and I've really noticed the difference between independent artist campaigns and label campaigns, and realize some artists just don't care. You know, they've signed a record deal, 200 bags, 300 bags. They're not really thinking about marketing. You know what I mean? But you know, there's a budget being allocated to marketing their projects, which they may or may not, depending on, they'll have to recoup on.
Do you think a good marketing campaign could take maybe an average artist onto a next level, whereas say if you're a very good artist but your marketing campaign's not all there, do you think that a good marketing
I think
that level?
I think I think I think it's not necessarily about reach. It's about packaging. You know what I mean? And I think music is a product, right? So it's the same. If I had to sell you this glass of water, not this water, but this physical glass, you know, it's gonna have a price point. It's gonna have a certain quality attached to it. And I think music shouldn't be any different. You know.
Yeah.
So when people look back at a project, they can see the care that was kind of allocated to producing this piece of work, you know, from a creative point of view, and then just the campaign which was led around it. You know, where if you see your music as more disposable, then, you know, it kind of diminishes the quality of your music. You know, it's no longer art. You know what I mean? So it's more of a perishable good. So I think a good campaign, you know, in terms of performance, I do think it can boost the performance of your record or your album, but also I think from a legacy point of view, when people look back on that piece of work and they see the campaign attached to it, I think it just boosts the value of the overall piece of art, you know,
and
which is music.
The rest of what they do, if you look back on that, just doing that then.
Yeah, and there's many examples of just well packaged, you know, campaigns. You know, it doesn't.
That was going to be my next question. Actually. Is there any campaigns that you've seen yourself that you've maybe thought, you know, that was spot on for the project, or, you know, along your career, has there any been campaigns that have inspired you? You've been seeing something and been like, wow, that's it. Maybe I should do something a bit different like that.
No, off the top of my head, I can't.
It's hard to put it
it's hard to think. But even like is it the Meek Mill tape, Dreams and Nightmares? If that's right, Dreams and Nightmares. I'm not even the biggest Meek Mill fan, but it wasn't a campaign, but he was able to leverage the situation that he was in at the time, just being released from incarceration. And he tied that story well, because all marketing is really be able to kind of amplify your kind of story. And I think he was able to really tie that into the delivery of the album. You know, which I'm not the biggest fan of Meek Mill, but I took in that tape and I really kind of listened to it, being conscious of the story, and just got consuming all the secondary pieces of content, the interviews and his plight for prison reform, because that's what marketing essentially is. I'm not saying that was marketing for him, but other people may not have chosen to do that. So from a perspective of people buying into him as this reformed individual, you know, for me, it spoke to me. You know, and to me it's marketing. To him, it's his truth. You know, marketing doesn't always need to have gimmicks attached to it. You know what I mean? But
I think it tells a story with it, like, especially with that album in particular. You know, you're thinking you're gonna listen to it before it's even come out because you know the story. And I think there's a lot of artists that are like that, where it's like they've already sold you on their story.
Exactly. Even Dave, Psychodrama, the marketing campaign to that was really sick, actually. There's Stormzy, obviously, Gang Signs and Prayers. Of recent, that's just UK examples.
100%.
And then a project that I worked on, and not to toot my own kind of like horn, but I thought the marketing was well thought through, was the Digga D Double Tap Diaries campaign.
Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Which was, for me, kind of altered the way I viewed kind of like drill and marketing drill music, and it really inspired me to kind of do more what I'm doing with artists who really wanted kind of some direction of strategy. Because with him, I recall like just being in the office one day and brainstorming, having a brainstorming session. It was purely from everything that transpired with that No Diet single, and all of the stickers came from his mind. But we were able to amplify kind of a few of his ideas, and really kind of make a sick campaign out of it. Like he released a track, a snippet on his IG. he came up with the emoji. But just getting the stickers and running a campaign around that and choosing that as the lead single, you know, getting Zac Efron to kind of use that in his promo. Obviously, it wasn't organic, but it tied into the marketing mix.
Still, yeah.
It was a great campaign, which, you know, it helped him achieve the highest at the time single individual drill charting track, and a number 11 with Double Tap Diaries, which is, I believe, the highest charting drill album. We just missed out on the number 10 for that. So I think that was a really, really good campaign. Again, it was artist led. You know, it came from his end, and we just led the amplification on that point of view. From that point of view, whereas sometimes, obviously, he's independent, but sometimes when you're signed to a label, you'll have kind of 30 guys sitting in a room while you're not present, devising a marketing plan for you. So there's a bit of disconnect.
Yeah, 100%.
But if there's an artist, if there's an artist involved in the actual strategy, I think it's always going to tell a better story.
Definitely.
And I think sometimes it's not that the artist doesn't want to be involved. Obviously, he's welcome to the meeting, but if you got 30 corporate looking guys in a room and then you're just like an 18, 19-year-old rapper, like, you're not really going to be able to vocalize. Whereas for me, it's more of like, you know, the man in a room, we're just chilling and we're just brainstorming back and forth. You know, you're always going to get something a bit more kind of, you're gonna tap into some great creativity. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So in terms of like Mixtape Madness, let's speak a bit on that. So you've been there from the beginning, you're saying?
Yeah, so I'll say, I've been around it, but I'll say probably when I finished uni, 2013, 2014, I really started to delve in and be a part of the business. So it's probably like 5-6 years now, But I think itself started in 2010. It was a website where you could download mixtapes, just like that Piff and live mixtapes was the UK equivalent. But I guess we had to kind of pivot just because we understood where the market was going. From a point of technology, streaming was becoming more dominant. You had SoundCloud and you had Spotify. So in order to compete with those two platforms of that guilt, would have been difficult. So we pivoted and transitioned into more of a publisher, launched our YouTube channel with an audio only approach, and it just expanded onto doing freestyles, Mad About Bars with Kenny Allstar, and then
is that something that you were involved with, the whole the starting up of the Mad About Bars?
I was there. So I was there from inception. Just sitting down with Kenny and the guys, wanting to think of a platform. I actually coined the phrase "Mad About Bars." No one gives me the credit for it. But at the time, Kenny was at Represent. He was at Represent Radio. So if you notice, the first couple of episodes, I think we had AJ Tracy and Big Tobes and Blitz. They were actually filmed in Represent Radio. And then I think the camera guy at the time was like, we need to get a proper studio and make this a high quality production.
100%,
and then the rest is history. It became I would say #1 freestyle platform in the UK, accruing over 150 million or maybe 200 million views to date. You know, with legendary episodes like the AMM Skeng, which I think freestyle, which probably has like 20 million views on the freestyle. One of the most viewed freestyles out there, apart from the Drake Link Up TP one. We're not going to include that.
Drake, I don't think you can include Drake. That's what I was thinking.
You can't include that.
Drake numbers are just on a different thing, different platform, man.
Yeah,
but I think, so in terms of like, starting these new ideas, does that kind of come from, let's say you were trying to think of a new concept, maybe a freestyle episode or whatever to do, do you sit down with the guys and you just kind of brainstorm ideas?
I think with the team, how things work, like ideas come from anywhere, you know what I mean? Like we've got real idea people. There's a lot of young guys in the team. I'm 28, you know what I mean? Like my ears are not to the street, but we've got like Bills. There's so many guys in the team who, are just sharp, man. They're just so creative. So we have so many different alternative content series, which Wise, heads up, like Behind the Beats, where we focus on producers. Then we have another freestyle platform called Next Up. Who was it? Riley? I don't even know. I can't remember who in the team even started that. But
there's been a few Manchester heads on there.
Yeah, so it's like. The platform is free. Like anyone can provide their thoughts.
I think it's just about as well with these kind of platforms, just providing good quality content.
That's
on a regular basis.
But I think one thing about like we have a very young and diverse team. You know what I mean? I think I would say 70% of the team are aged between 17 and 23. So a lot of great ideas come from the guys. Like just understanding the culture, being to the ground, and like I can't I wish sometimes if I was that age, I never had to go to 9 to 5 route. Now these guys are honestly they are in their field, like they are pushing the needle forward. You know what I mean? The A&Rs on the team, just finding artists. Like you can compare them to A&Rs. At labels. If you look at their resume and the artists that they have found,
if you look at a lot of the artists that do get signed, they come through your platform first.
Exactly. So I have to. I can only credit them. You know what I mean? I'm barely in the music studio. You know what I mean? Once in a while, I got studio this week.
Let's go.
But I think those guys are the real heroes and the movers and shakers. But everyone plays a position, I guess. You know what I mean?
Of course, man.
Yeah.
100%. So, is there anything, going forward in thinking future tense that you're launching with Mixtape Madness that's maybe coming out new?
So we got So Wise, one of the guys in the team, one of the guys in the team.
Wise.
No, not the producer. He's actually the founder, co-founder.
Oh, sorry.
He's got a series coming out called Groundwork. It's more of a, I don't even know I should be saying this actually. Yeah.
I heard it here first. The Kill Miami podcast. Yeah. Let's go.
But I'm not going to talk more on it. But we're getting into more kind of longer form pieces of content.
Okay.
If I can just say and more kind of documentary pieces of content as well.
Yeah, I definitely think that's becoming more popular with like Netflix and stuff like that. Man.
We're just kind of trying to push the needle. One of the other guys in the team, Quabs, he's another co-founder as well. He's again trying to kind of bring kind of some fresh business perspectives and on avenues we can maneuver in as well.
Sick.
I think so. I think again everyone's just kind of just leading their own independent projects.
Of course, man, building infrastructure. So, is there any artists that you think upcoming that you may be working with at a channel, or even that you've just seen about that you think?
Like your guy, we haven't worked with him. Well, no, I haven't personally, but like H, you're talking about H. I think he's sick.
Class, man. Just charted,
Mastermind again. So
Mastermind's
it's
cold. Cold.
Again, who else is there up and coming? There's one guy, PA Salou, I really like him. We've got a few videos on our channel. Reminds me of J House. He's so good, man. I think honestly, in a year or so, he's gonna be huge. There's a guy called C1. He's dope. I personally haven't worked with him, but I've seen him on the channel a few times. Who else? There's bare artists, man. There's bare artists, man.
Definitely, man.
Yeah.
I think the Manchester scene as well is definitely
it's bubbling. The
Manchester
scene is bubbling, man. It's bubbling.
Crazy, man. It's not been like this since
you got
I've been around.
Bugsy, H, and these guys are huge.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like and I feel up those ways is like there's more emphasis on independence as well.
100%, man.
I mean?
We don't have the glamour that London has with there's literally no major labels in Manchester, bro. So it's like if you're looking to do anything like that, you're doing it independent or you move it to London.
It's good, man. Me personally, I just think last couple of years I've seen a lot of artists who have changed their lives and made a lot of money, and and are doing great things. So I hope the scene grows, and with the artists growing, it allows people to have more positions, like people around them.
Well, even if you look at like the top 40, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Half of it, if not more, is urban music now.
It's our music, you know what I mean? And it just grows the economy. It means more people can get jobs in this field. More ideas to bring forward. Definitely. So I think it's dope, man. I think it's sick.
So I got one last stage for you here, man. It's a round that I'm introducing called underrated or overrated. So I'm going to ask you a few topics. and just say whether you think it's underrated or overrated.
Yeah, cool.
So the first one is email marketing. Do you think that's underrated or overrated?
I think it's underrated. You know, people think it's outdated, but it's actually, in terms of, if you're doing like lead generation campaigns, like email marketing is key, man. You know, if you've got a database, you know, after all that GDPR stuff, if you've got a mailing list, you know, full of thousands of emails, I think if you're creative enough, I think you can get a lot of conversions. In terms of music, I don't know, but if you're promoting like concerts or selling merch, yeah. But in terms of like just driving people to stream and buy music, I'm not too sure. But I think, yeah, if it's anything e-commerce related where people need to buy a ticket to your show or buy merch, yeah, I'll definitely put that as part of your marketing mix. Yeah,
100%.
Yeah.
So the next one is Spotify playlists.
Really underrated, you know. And I tell artists, one thing I tell artists as well is, listen, there's artists that I've worked with who, you know, hacked playlists. Like they had millions of streams of our videos, and it was just through leveraging playlists. Like I always tell artists, have 15 or 20 playlists, whether they're Spotify curated or not, and just hack those playlists. Try and get your music in those playlists, and you'll see the numbers move.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean, and it don't have to be rap UK. Like Spotify has hundreds of playlists that people like me or you can make, and they have 10, 15, 20, 30,000 followers.
Yeah.
If you're getting 10 of those playlists, like the algorithms will work in your favor, should I say?
Nah,
you know what I mean? So
I agree with that.
I think they're underrated, man. People always look for the big ones, but nah, man. If you identify like 50 small, 10 to 15 small playlists,
they'll do what the top two could have done. Just
man. Yeah.
It does make a big difference, man. I agree.
Yeah, and one thing I have to say as well, I always tell artists, you have to know your audience. Every artist is uniquely different.
Definitely,
you know what I mean? Like, I think people artists like comparing themselves to other artists. You know, everyone's got a different walk of life.
Yeah.
Everyone's got different shelf lives. Some artists are here to come and go, you know, to have a couple hits, sell a lot of records, and then disappear. Some artists are here a bit more of a slow burner. You know what I mean? They grow into their stride, and they have more, you know, 10 to 15 year careers. Like, everyone's got a different place. You know, numbers don't mean everything. Don't watch numbers. There's guys who have millions of views who can't sell out shows, venues of 500 capacity. There's guys who do 50,000 that can sell out 3,000.
Did you hear about
capacity.
there was an influencer on Instagram, this girl, she's got like 2.6 million followers, and she couldn't sell 5 t-shirts.
You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? Like artists like A2, Nux, you know, I've got a guy called VB. I'm a big fan of him, so free VB as well, man. You know what I mean? When he comes home, we're gonna work on some good music. But like, these guys have core fan bases. Like, they can sell out decent capacity venues. They don't do tens of millions of views. You know what I mean? So their conversion rates are much higher. If you're telling me I'm doing 100,000 views and I can sell out a venue which is 5,000 cap, and all artists that's getting 5 million views that can't sell out a venue that's 500 cap, who would you rather want to be?
100%.
And that means you have a loyal audience, you know, more engaged audience. You know, they're more likely to buy into whatever you're trying to sell, whether that's merch or any other ancillary items. And, you know, and you're most likely to have a more a longer and viable career. But if it's just hype drives views, man. You know what I mean? You can have viral moments, you can be hype. You might get 5-10 million views, but, you know, after a year, 2 years, that depreciates. You know what I mean?
Really cares.
Views is not a currency that you need to measure, man.
Nah, I agree with that, man. Definitely. And so last one, man, is SoundCloud. Do you think SoundCloud's overrated or underrated?
I think in its prime it was underrated. You know what I mean? We came off on SoundCloud, actually. Like, that's where we transitioned to. So we used to upload. We had a big following on SoundCloud. It was huge. I think now it's kind of tired now, though. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Do you still think there's? Well, you get a lot of these.
It's the streaming.
Maybe not so much in UK. I think.
Yeah, I think it's the streaming was the big problem for SoundCloud.
Yeah, it's the killer.
The streaming, the DSP, the other DSPs like Spotify, and then SoundCloud tried to do a premium service.
Yes, I don't. Yeah, that's very true, man.
They actually tried to hire me, SoundCloud. You know.
Oh really? No.
A couple of years ago, yeah, they had an office in somewhere west, and they had to close down. They shifted the budget. Yeah.
I think it was a bit of a shame, man, because it was a
sick
platform.
It was a sick platform, man.
Say,
But again, you have to know how to pivot, man.
100%. Keeping up with the times.
You have to keep up with the time. It's a fast-moving environment. You got Apple Music. You got other players that are really investing a lot of capital into dominating this space. You have to be able to pivot.
Definitely, man.
It's vital, man. It's crucial.
Sick. Well, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much for coming on, my guy. And
it was a pleasure, man.
first edition is done down.
Yeah, cool.
Keep streaming. Subscribe to the channel.
Yeah.
Go follow Mixtape Madness as well if you don't already, which I'm sure you probably do.